Welcome to Qdabra's weekly webinar. This is Patrick, and I'm happy to have you here today. This picture is showing you that if you want your forest to look good, it makes sense to plant in a concentric way. This is actually a forest in Japan. And like a forest, when we build our workflows, some planning is required. And our goal today is to really show you how to make your workflows easier to deploy, make it easier to create these wonderful structures that you can use to drive the process that you have that you want to automate. Our goal at Qdabra is to save you time, and that means trying to come up with these simple solutions that make it easy for you to add something cool to all of your processes, all of your forms. And today's example is a simple approvals workflow. We've been working on this for a couple months actually, and I'm really happy that Kirby and Yesha are joining me today. Kirby is the lead designer developer of this tool, and we're going to be switching, and she's going to be doing a demo here in a minute. Before we get started, I just have a couple quick questions for you. We'll launch this poll, and the first question is, how much time do you spend adding workflows to your forms? And nowadays, you're moving from SharePoint Designer to Power Automate, which used to be called Flow. And sometimes people get, I think, overwhelmed by the new technology, the stuff that they don't know, right? Because everything's always changing. And so we're trying to make it easy for you. This solution does include a flow that is generic, so you can use it for all of your forms. And Kirby, are you seeing the poll? Great.
Yes, Patrick.
And you can hear me. Okay, wonderful. I want to make sure I'm not muted. I am recording. Okay, so it sounds like we've got just a few people today, and I think one response so far, and that is less than a few hours. So I'm going to close that and move to the next poll. And typically workflows can be pretty simple. The second question here is, how many of these forms do you need? That you could use this kind of a simple approvals workflow. And this is typically something where we have a request process. Like today, we're going to demo a leave request. Somebody's taking some time off. That's a typical approval process. There are many others, travel requests, anything that has a kind of a request in it is usually an approval process. Now, there are lots of other kinds of processes out there, but the majority of simple workflows are sequential in nature, and they're approval based. Today we'll show how we can send this request out to multiple people, so you can have actually multiple approvers, but there'll only be one that approves it. So that's what we mean by sequential. So it looks like the answer here is more than one. Great. Okay, so we're trying to give you this simple way to add workflow to all of your forms and make it less than an hour. So in other words, a few minutes. And the other benefit is, there's a bunch of things that we're going to show today, but number two here is that we're going to provide a consistent appearance to all of your forms. So there's one place that they go, is the task pane to make all of their changes. So if you have multiple processes, multiple forms, the users will have a consistent interface. They'll know exactly where to go to get to those approval buttons, or to the submit button, or to the reject button, or whatever they're going to be using. We support external login, so people that are using their phones can activate and then use their phones to quickly approve. We're not going to show that today, but this solution does have that built in, and the dashboard will show this, which is showing not only what's assigned to you, but also for administrators, they want to see what is current, what's overdue, and they want to be able to set somebody else to function on your behalf if you're off, if you're out of office, if you're on vacation, and we call that the proxy function. The last point here worth mentioning is that the workflows are editable on demand. So you can actually go in and set up your workflow steps using an editor, and then later you can change it, and it's on demand. Obviously, if somebody has a form open at that time, they're not going to see the new buttons appear, but they will the next time they open it. And this is really cool because it allows you to quickly edit the flows without going into the flow. So you can just edit. The flow is using the data to run the workflow. The form is using the data to show the buttons, and you can quickly go in there and modify it without having to launch Power Automate and go in there and try to figure out what to do. So those are some of the quick things you'll get from this solution. Why are we centralizing this? Well, centralizing it makes it easy to reproduce it. And it makes it easy because it's in one place to create consistent reporting, and it lowers the maintenance costs because when you do make a change, you're making that in one place. But more importantly, we're also providing a way to kind of direct the users into one place, right, to the task pane in this case, and that helps with processing, and that means that you have kind of a one place for the dashboard, one place for the in the forms. The forms will all have their own task pane, but there will be one, and this will be useful. And the reminders are all sent from one flow, so it just reduces maintenance costs in general, and makes it much easier to add to your forms. So the other benefits are that we have this modern user interface. We'll see this in a second. We're going to quickly go to the demo, and you have locking. Locking is important. You don't want people to step on each other's toes when they're filling out their forms, doing an approval. You also want to provide a way for them to query, for example, the Microsoft Graph API, which allows them to use a security group to assign it to somebody. Obviously, you can put in their name, you can put in a distribution list. You'll see that in a second. And then just one quick comment that we don't support parallel workflows with this solution. So we're going to come up with a new parallel style voting / majority, what we call a quorum-based system. We'll be doing another webinar probably later this year, probably November, that shows this parallel. We've actually done this before. We did it 3 years ago, I think, and showed that you can have a workflow that has multiple people simultaneously providing feedback. And this typical example would be an interview loop. You might have multiple people that are commenting on the interviewee, and they want to do it at the same time. And so you can't have locking at that point because obviously they want to simultaneously fill out the form. So for those solutions, it's parallel based, and we do have a pattern for that. We're going to be talking about that again in November. We did talk about 3 years ago, but we're going to be updating that pattern, make it look good, make it modern, and hope you can join us then. So Kirby, I'm going to switch to you, and we'll do the demo.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So I hope you can now see my screen.
Yep.
All right. So here's a sample leave request form that has the approvals XTP. And as you can see, we have here a sticky header and also the task pane that you can close. And then you can also open.
So you've already added it to this form, right?
Yes. I can't move the go-to.
So this is what it's going to look like after you've added it. And we'll show how to add it in the next, we'll do 3 demos today. We'll do the demo of what it looks like after you've added it and just how it functions, which is what we're showing today. We're going to show the user experience. Then we're going to show the admin experience, and then we're going to show how you as a designer would add it to your forms.
All right, so I'm now saving some of my changes here. So I'm going to click this button here, click save, and it's not going to close the form, so I can continue filling out the form. So here we have, I have opened another form here to show you the workflow steps. And since our status here is saved, we are seeing these 2 buttons here, the save and submit. So if you see the saved values here, we have these 2 buttons here. That's why we're seeing those in our task pane. And once we click the submit button, it's going to send, or it's going to assign that form to Joanne, which I added in here as the assignee. So let's do that. And please approve this. And then I'm going to click submit. And Joanne should be able to receive an email notification that a request has been assigned to her. So now I have opened the Microsoft Edge and use it to access Joanne's account here so that we can open the form and approve it.
So you're
And so
impersonating
here's
you're
the,
impersonating Joanne, right?
yeah, that's right. So normally the user should be able to get this kind of notification, but right now we're experiencing some delays in our emails that are being triggered by our Power Automate. So here's a sample email that I just received earlier today. So we have here link link here that you can open. You can click to open the form. So now I have opened this form as Joanne. As you can see in the task pane, the current user is Joanne, and the current status is submitted. So we're seeing the approve, reject, and deny buttons here because in our workflow steps table, when the form step is submitted, we're going to see this 3 buttons here: approve, reject, and deny.
So Guri, quick question.
So let's go.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Sorry, I don't see the pencil icon on Joanne's form. Is that because you're an admin?
Yeah, that's correct. Joanne is not an admin, so she won't be able to override the status in the form.
So
But
so
as for me,
the pencil icon is used to override the status. Is that right?
yeah, that's correct. So so for example, we're going to reject this. So need more info, rejecting. And before we click the reject, I wanted to show you that we have a slider here that you can toggle just by clicking this button, and it shows all the form steps that the form has gone through. So first we've saved the form and then we've submitted it to Joanne. So let's try rejecting it now. So click on reject, and all right, so after rejecting, it will go again here in our library because we open it in here. So next in our list to demo is, let's see, we're going to go to our table and add a distribution list in our step. So let's go back in here. And since the form is rejected, and if I'm going to submit it again, I wanted it to be assigned to a distribution list. So let's say we wanted to submit it to or assign it to support@qdabra.com. So all of the members.
What does
Mhm.
current mean? What is current?
Current means it's going to be assigned to the current a user of the form. So if it is if the status is saved and the save button is clicked, then it will still be assigned to the current user.
And the rejected down below has previous. That means it goes to the previous person, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And then we've changed it to a distribution list here to support at
So you're
Qdabra.com.
updating the workflow on demand. You're doing it on the fly, basically, to change the
Yeah,
workflow,
that's
the processing, even though that form is still in process.
yeah, that's
Wow,
correct.
wow, cool.
So let's go back to our form here. I'm just going to open it in our library. Just going to refresh it to make sure that this is a recent form. Right. So basically, this library is actually configured to open the forms in Forms Viewer. So let's open that by clicking the link there. And let's see.
Was that a modern view or
So
is that a classic view?
yeah, it's in the modern view.
Nice.
So since Joanne rejected our form, then we need to resubmit it. So let's just change the reason here and then add another comment, resubmitting
Now,
again.
do you want me to try to open it because I got the same email and didn't show the locking?
Yeah, you can open it after I
Okay,
submit the form.
sorry.
All right, so let's submit this. And once that's submitted, it should now be assigned to the support@qdabra.com distribution list. And all of those members of that distribution list will be able to receive the email. So, um, okay, let's try opening it again in Joanne's page here, since we're going to approve and uh, and I believe Patrick can now open the form on his end to see that the locking feature is activated. So
Okay,
let's
hold on.
see.
Let me switch to my screen here. Is that okay? Can I switch?
All right.
Are
All
you
right.
ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Switching to share my screen here. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, now we're going to just refresh. And I should have received an email, but one of the issues with Power Automate is it can take 5 minutes to get an email. And
Yeah.
that's Microsoft's that's their service level agreement for the free version of Flow, which is dastardly because they should be giving people faster response. We did a demo actually in April of this year showing another technique using VBXL to make workflows go faster. So I'm just going to open this and see if I get the lock. The very first time you open a form, if you haven't opened it before, there is a slight delay because of the caching, and the second time it opens faster. That wasn't too bad. That was definitely within the realm of the responsiveness. And I guess I can see here that Joanne is editing the form. Did Joanne open it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah. I did open it
it's
in.
not giving me any way to override her.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
because the lock is active in for 1 hour.
I see.
So if Joanne is idle for more than 1 hour, then the you will be able to see override lock
Oh,
button
that's
there.
cool.
So
That's
you
cool.
can click, yeah,
Great. Okay. Well, I just
to
wanted to,
override the lock or release the lock.
I'll switch back to you now.
Okay.
Oops.
All right. So next thing that I'm going to show you is opening the dashboard. Since the dashboard, so this is the dashboard, we can actually show you um, the user proxy feature here, where we can see all of the assigned forms to a specific user. So right now we have 5 tabs here. And also this one is just for the admins tab in the proxy list. So let's go to the proxy list and add a proxy. So let's say I wanted to proxy Patrick. I wanted to see all of the forms that are assigned to him. So, and then the proxy will be me. And then we need to add a valid until date. So let's say it's only valid for until tomorrow. So let's add myself as a proxy for Patrick. And then you're going to see a button here, this one. And then we can actually select Patrick here. I'm not sure why it's seeing a duplicate Patrick, but let's try to select one. And if I click the forms, it should show all of the assigned forms to Patrick. So, but right now there are no forms that are assigned to Patrick. That's why we're not seeing any forms right now. But that's a cool feature that this dashboard can offer. And then last is Joanne will now approve the form here. So let's try approving this form.
Do you have another instance, Kirby, that shows a lot of forms with the overdue stuff and the conditional formatting in the dashboard? That might be kind of useful to show.
Um, yeah, right now I don't have an entries in here, so
But I mean, like you have the
um,
form deployed to another location, right? Could you show another location maybe?
yeah, but it's also showing the same values from the list that has
Okay.
no entries. Yeah,
Oh, so you guys cleaned up the list. You guys deleted all the test data.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
see.
all test data. Yeah,
But you should see. I mean, if it's overdue, you will see it highlighted in yellow, right?
yeah, that's correct. So next is, let's see. So we're now in this second slide to show you the admin approver scenario. So back to our workflow step, we're going to um, add a complete button for Patrick. So since Joanne already approved the form, it should now be assigned to Patrick, as you can see here. The last step of the form was submitted, and now since it's approved by Joanne, then the assignee now will be Patrick. And then we're just gonna add another step here. Since the form step right now is of the form is approved one, then we're just going to add another button called complete, and then the next step will be completed. Let's add completed as a status label as well, and then we're just going to leave this assignee as blanks because we don't want to assign that to anybody anymore since it's already completed. So let's click save. And then if Patrick opened the form again,
do you want me to do
he
it?
should now be able to, yep.
Okay. I'm switching to presenter. And I'm going to close this form. Actually, I could just refresh it, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. First level.
Yeah, that's approved, but I'm not sure why the complete button is not showing.
Let me go back to the list and try to reopen it. I mean, refresh should do it though, right?
Yeah.
You guys tested this, right?
Yep. It was.
That's
Yeah,
not
it
working.
was working earlier. Yeah, it should show the complete button there because we've added another step in here.
Okay.
Well,
You do.
yeah.
Can you figure? Can you think what might be going wrong?
I'm not sure right now. I may need to investigate this further.
Getting a
But
deny button.
yeah,
Is there a deny step?
yeah, there's the deny entry here.
Well, it wouldn't be a demo if we didn't have a road speed bump. Great. Okay, well, I'll switch back to you then, and it looks like we've got a little more work to do to debug that.
Yep. And yeah, I think that's all. That's all about the demo, Patrick.
Oh, okay. So I'll switch back. I'll share that slide then.
Yep.
Actually, why don't you share it because you're going to do one more demo, right? You're going to show how to add it, right?
Oh yeah, right.
So go ahead and share out that slide, and I'll just talk to the next slide here. Yeah, so the goal here is really to provide a bunch of features, not so, it's more than just a simple workflow. You've got this ability to on the fly change things and set proxies and see who's overdue and it's a lot of stuff. So we've done a lot of work. Kirby's done an tremendous amount of work to add features to this solution, so it's really compelling. And Kirby, can you switch to the next slide? I think what we'll do is maybe what we should do is demo. Yeah, so this is just showing how easy it is to add. So we're going to demo that next. But in general, the package, can you go to the package slide that shows what's in the package? So you're going to get documentation on how to add it, how to deploy it to your solution, your site. There's an admin manual. There's obviously the configuration, how to register the app for Microsoft Graph if you want to use those security groups. And then these two templates, the one template that you'll be adding to your forms, which is an XCP, and then the other template that's going to be used for the dashboard. And then, of course, you've got these two folders that we'll use. And actually, there's more than There's a bunch of list templates, right? So how many lists does it use, Kirby? It's like 3 or 4?
There are 6.
6. And what are
6
those
lists.
lists? There's the
We
approvals
have,
list. Can you show them real quick?
yep. Oops, sorry.
So even though
So,
it seems like a lot of lists, you'll be using the same centralized
mhm,
solution for all of your forms. So you've got these approval history, approvals, admins, locked forms, sample. What's the sample list? That's different, right?
no, that's just the, yeah,
Okay. So it's just users. It's just which ones are they?
user
It's just
proxy.
the approval history, approvals, locked forms, user proxy users, and workflow, right?
Yeah,
Can you
that's
show
correct.
what's in the workflow just to show them how it's getting used? So every time it submits a form, it's going to create a row in here, right?
Yeah,
So we just submitted one. Okay, got it. What does it?
this is
It's updating that row.
this is the actual, yeah, this is actually the list that triggers the Power Automate to email authentication. So that has the form URL for the link and also the details of the request.
Great. Well, I know we're running out of time, so why don't we go back and quickly do do the demo of adding it to a form? How long will that take?
Um, uh, it will only take less than 5 minutes to add the approvals XTP.
I'll start my
So I
stopwatch.
have here, okay, I have here a sample leave request form. Let's open that in the design mode here in InfoPath. And what I will do is add the um, custom control here, the template part. So click next, browse for the XTP that is included in our package. So here we have the approvals and then click finish. And then once that's added, we're just going to put our cursor at the bottom of our form and click the one that we just added, the approvals. And then you will see that it's going to add some sections in the form canvas and also a bunch of fields in here. And what we need to do right now is follow the steps here. You'll see that there's some easy to follow steps that you can do to configure your XTP. So first is we're going to go to this part where it says add form name here. So we're going to change our name to, sorry, leave request form, since this is a leave request form. And also we're going to cut the section of the actual form and paste it in this part where it says add form in this section. So I'm just going to paste that in there, and then I'm just going to center it there. And once that's done, we're going to go to the Qdabra rules secondary data source here. But if you don't have yet the Qdabra rules in your form, you can just inject it using Forms Viewer app. So once that's injected in your form, you can go to the finish loading node and just add a rule here to run the onload rules in our XTP. So this is located under the XTP logic secondary data source under actions. Click run onload node and then click go. So that will basically run all of the rules under that specific node. So all of these rules will run on form load. So after that, we're going to configure our temporary fields here and point it to the actual Qdabra rules fields. So let's start in here. We're going to replace the stop field to point to the command of the Qdabra rules secondary data source. Okay, let's go back, and then same with the temp result. We're going to add our Qdabra rules result node here. So navigate to Qdabra rules and click result. Same with the temp success and temp error. We're going to go back to the Qdabra rules secondary data source, click success, and then last is the error node. All right, once that's configured, we will now go to the values group here under the XCP logic, go to workflow states, and then the repeating group here called workflow state. Under the first action, we have here this function here. Let's just cut this and paste it inside the function. This is because when we inject the XCP, it doesn't really recognize the preceding sibling function. So that's why we're doing that. And we're also going to do the same thing to this repeating group, the workflow states change. Go to this action here, copy, and then paste it in here. And then we're also going to change the preceding sibling here in the second trash icon under the delete row action. We're going to cut that and paste it inside the function. And then last is in the main data source. Go to the workflow states group under workflow state repeating group. First action here, just cut that and paste it in here. All right, so after that, we're going to set our API key, the Auth API key that is used to activate the two-factor authentication in the XTP. So that is in the Auth request secondary data source. Go to actions in the run onload node. We have here the set API key. So I have already generated an Auth API key here. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it in here where it says add your Auth API key here. All right, and then next is we're also going to configure the Microsoft Graph so we can query our security groups if you need that for your approvals. Let's go to the XTP logic. Under run onload node, we have here the MS Graph node. In the set MS Graph values action, we have this three actions here. And also I'm going to paste the values that I already have in here. So this is our client ID, client secret, and last the directory ID. And then if you don't have yet submit to library data connection, we're just going to add one here. So let's copy the link to our form library, click submit data to a document library, paste that in there. And for the file name, we're just going to select the form name under the workflow group.
So it's less than 10 steps. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And 3 of those steps were to work around that silly info path designer bug, right? Which we're going to be demoing our forms designer here in 2 weeks, and we are promised that we will fix those bugs in forms designer when we move off of info path designer later this year.
So I'm just going to add a submit data here at the last part of the submit node, and that's it. That's how you configure the XTP to.
Can you show the Auth stuff when you access it externally, what it looks like?
Yep, sure. I can just open again the leave request. All right, so if we open it in anonymous mode, the external user, if you have external users that's going to use your form, they're going to initially see this Qdabra two-factor authentication, and it will let them sign in using the first letter of their last name, followed by the first letter of the last name, and then the last 4 digits of their mobile number. So would you like me to demo that?
Well, just type it in and see if will it just quickly. Yeah, it's easy to show, right?
Yeah. So the combination for my 2787, that's a combination for my credentials. So since I've already registered, the Auth sent me a code here. So on my phone, so the code is 4169776. So once the verification is correct, then it will
It
now
knows
let
who
us
you
in the
are.
form. Yeah.
That's really cool. Great. Well, let's go back to the slides real quick because I know we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
And awesome job though on the 5 minute to add. You went so
Mhm.
fast. Shane, do you have any questions for us?
Uh, wow, there's a whole lot there. It's fantastic. I don't know that I have any questions right now. So all this is being done in Forms Viewer, right? This isn't a DBXL thing.
Right. No DBXL yet. We might add that later, but not right now.
Okay,
Um,
that's it's awesome.
Oh, that's great to have you here. Let's go to the next slide, Kirby, and just finish this out then. We're going to probably do this webinar again. This is our first take today, and Yesha, I'm really happy that you're on the call. Welcome to Qdabra. You're our newest resource. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's very exciting to be here.
Do you want to try to
Yep.
present this slide?
Yeah, so we'd like to take this chance to briefly introduce Forms Viewer. So for those of you who are not familiar or haven't heard of Forms Viewer before, it's the only application out there that is dedicated to let you continue your InfoPath investment that offers an affordable and attractive solution. And as you may have heard, Microsoft will discontinue support for InfoPath by 2026. And with that, the best solution for you is to migrate with Forms Viewer without rebuilding your forms from scratch. And it's not just a replacement for InfoPath. Forms Viewer is dedicated to provide your forms with modern technology features. Our support for CSS and JavaScript can quickly upgrade your forms into a responsive rendering for mobile browsers. Your forms can also have other cool features such as generating of PDFs and incorporating security authentications. So we encourage everyone to check it out. It is available on the SharePoint App Store. We've just released Forms Viewer version 5.2, and we would love for you to check that out. And if you have any questions, need any assistance, or would love a quick demo of what Forms Viewer offers, please don't hesitate to contact us at support@qdabra.com, and we would be happy to meet with you. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jaysha, for that quick ad here at the end. And we have one more slide to go, right, Kirby? We're going to do another demo here in 2 weeks to show you the first version of our Forms Designer. So we spent the first 5 years replacing InfoPath with Forms Viewer, and we spent the last couple years working on the Forms Designer. We're finally ready to show you a preview of that not next week, but the following week. That's September 24th. And that's called the alpha. We're going to be actually shipping this at the end of the year on December 17th. So at the very right side here of the screen, you see that, the beta, we're calling it. And there will be, we're going to try to cover 80% of the features in InfoPath Designer with the beta. Plus, we're going to add a few new things that they should have done a long time ago. And then in between those two dates, we've got our training coming up on October 13th. If you haven't registered, please do so soon. We're running out of slots there for that class, and all of these new techniques that we've been webinaring this year will be presented during that 4-day class. It's just 3 hours a day, and to get all the packages, you don't have to attend every day, but you do need to register to get the packages. And then finally, November 19th, we're going to be trying to do this approvals number 2, which will be for parallel. So if you do have a parallel approval where you need to have multiple approvers voting at the same time simultaneously, then we'll show that solution in November before Thanksgiving. Kirby? Thank you for
That's the last
demoing.
slide.
Thank you for demoing. Shane, thank you for being our sole attendee today. We've never had a webinar with just one attendee, but you're the first. So
Thanks.
must be the pandemic. I don't know, but we'll do this again. We'll get the word out. We'll try to do a better job of marketing. And of course, this is going on YouTube. So really appreciate you being here, though. And yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.